How's it going, everybody? I hope you're having a great day today. If you don't already know, my name is Andy. It's a very windy day here in East Tennessee, and this is what it's doing to my hair. And this is the all-new 2025 Chevy Tahoe High Country. This is a really, really nice refresh on the iconic Chevy Tahoe. And today we're going to take a full tour of this thing and show you guys what this thing is all about. But hang on, before I begin this review, I do want to give a huge shout out, special thanks to the good folks at West Chevrolet here in Alcoa, Tennessee, for allowing me to use this brand new 2025 Tahoe High Country for today's review. Once you're done watching this video, make sure you get down there to the description. There'll be a link to their website. You can check out their amazing inventory. All right, let's get back to the Tahoe. Now, the first generation Chevy Tahoe came to us in late 1991 for the 92 model year, and just as it is now, was a slightly shortened version of Chevy's already iconic Suburban. Now, it wasn't the shortest version you could get. That would have been the two-door Blazer. So your Tahoe kind of sat right in the middle of that. That was your first generation. Chevy brought us the fifth generation for the 2021 model year, and although this one does look slightly different because it is refreshed on the front and the rear and inside, this is still technically the fifth generation Chevy Tahoe. But Chevy has taken this thing, they have redesigned some parts of it, but left pretty much the same basic shape and really stepped up their game and brought this thing current with the rest of their lineup. So enough for the history lesson, let's get on with the tour. Now I'm gonna walk you around this thing, and as I take you around it, I will throw up some pictures of the previous iteration of this fifth generation Tahoe for comparison. So starting here on the front end, now this is your High Country. Looking at this big, huge grille right here, I like this, it's a good looking grille. Every trim of your Tahoe, and there are 6 of them, comes with a slightly different version of this big grille. Your headlights are slightly updated. They took that smaller C-shaped running lamp that sat right about there or so, made it even bigger, stuck your LED headlight in the middle of it, and gave you an extra LED running lamp right on top of that. As you come around to the passenger side, I've got the right side turn signal on so you can see what they've done with the signals. Pretty much the same thing they're doing with the new Traverse. You got your white running lamp up top, which is replaced with the amber, and it kind of sweeps off when the signal's running. I do love that design. Looking at the lower part here, still looks really nice. You got some LED fog lamps right down there. It's a good looking front end. I really do like the way this looks. It looks a lot better than the outgoing iteration of this 5th gen. As you come around to the fender, you got your High Country badge sitting high and proud right there on the side fender. Make sure everybody knows you're driving the fancy one. And coming down from that, these massive 22-inch wheels wrapped in these Bridgestone tires. These are, man, check out those wheels. Are those not good looking? I think they're good looking. As you come down the side, you got your mirror caps, which are matched to the body color with some black on the bottom, your integrated turn signals. Stepping back, it does look really nice. You do have power deploying running boards on this one, which of course we all love for the short folks. Those will also come in really handy if you've got this thing lifted up in the air suspension. Yes, I said air suspension, we'll get around to that. Here around the back, you can see they've also updated the taillights. It's interesting because they kind of flipped the shape from the outgoing version of this design, so it's a little bit backwards from what we had, but it's full LED, no more incandescents back here, and it looks a lot better. I'll run through all the sequences of these lights here in a second. Stepping back, looking at the rear as a whole, really nice. You got your tailgate in the same color, of course, big Tahoe right there, your accent panel in black right here, tinted window, and they went and hidden the wiper up underneath the spoiler back here. Looks really nice. I love to see that tucked away. And they're able to do that more easily because unlike on your smaller SUVs, they're able to take the cameras for your reverse camera and your rear view mirror and put them down there on the lower part of the gate. Coming down here looking low, you got some nice rectangular quad tip exhaust. Love the way these things look. I'm telling you, I'm sure not the only one. This thing is good looking. For a refresh rather than a redesign, this looks really good. All right, now looking just at the taillights, you can see how they look. They look really nice. Like I said, they reverse the direction of that shape, which looks really cool. Full LED, here it is with just the regular parking or running lights on. You're gonna hit the brake, see the whole thing lights up nice and bright. Take it off, hit the signal, and you're gonna see now your turn signals are part of the reds instead of just separate ambers, but they sweep to the side, just like the signals up front. Looks really nice. And then check out what Chevy did with the reverse lights on this thing. So you see those 3 horizontal lines right there on the lower inside portion of the taillight. We're gonna hit the brake, put it in reverse, and check out those reverse lights. I think that's a really cool look. It's really neat. It looks nice. It's LED. I don't know, and it's different. But the big thing for me, finally, Chevy went and ditched the incandescents for the rear lighting on this vehicle. And in case you're wondering, yes, Chevrolet is still doing that annoying thing with the reverse lights they do where they'll be on with no one in the car and it not even in reverse. Please, dear God, General Motors, listen to the entire car community. Quit doing this. While we're looking at exterior lighting, check out the little animations your front lights do when you unlock the vehicle. Nothing fancy, but it's kind of cool. Let's lock it and they don't do much. And you do also get a small animation on the back, not as fancy as the front, not very much. Just unlock it and you see it dances a little bit, just gives you a little sweep. Same thing when you lock it up. Just a neat little touch. And let's come on down the driver's side here just to give you one more nice look at the side. One thing I do want to point out is your seat pillar right here. It is kind of big, but it's not as big and weirdly shaped as they did on the Traverse or the Equinox. Now it is big, not gonna lie. Let's go ahead and open up the rear doors and look at it from the inside. You see there is a pretty substantial spot right there that you might consider a blind spot, but you also got a big window behind it. So it is a big C-pillar, but I'm sure it's not gonna cause near as bad a problem, at least I hope, as it does in something like the Traverse. All right, let's go ahead and step on into the interior of our High Country Tahoe now. And this thing is nice. And this car, so far, I have not found a blank switch inside of. This thing has almost every feature. Starting on the door card right here, you can see it is really nice. It is mostly black, but you do have some soft touch stuff right here, a little perforation stuff right here. Lots of storage in the door, Bose speaker system, a little bit of contrasted brown stitching there, a little bit of wood, not a lot, very classy, and some chrome accenting above that, a little bit of piano black around your door pull, but not a lot. That theme continues onto your dash where you got some wood grain here below the vents, a little bit of contrasted stitching up on top of the dash. And of course that wood's gonna run all the way across to the passenger side after you get to the other side of the steering wheel. Checking out these seats, they're black with that brown inside the perforations. It looks really, really nice, very classy. They're perforated because of course they are heated and cooled. You have that High Country embroidered into the headrest. They really did this thing nice. They match that design on your center console storage lid, and it just looks really nice in here. You get a little bit of piano black right here around the cup holders and a little bit around the vents right here, but not too much. So while you do have some fingerprint magnets, it's not overly done. Come back to the dash, check out all the buttons. And this is something I'm actually quite proud that Chevy did for the Tahoe. They didn't go and integrate every single control into the screen like they do on things such as the Colorado. So your headlight controls are still physical buttons right here. You got buttons for your 360 camera, your parking sensors, your auto start stop, your hill descent control, traction control, four-wheel drive, integrated trailer brake controller, which is really cool. Unfortunately, you do have an electric parking brake, but everybody's going electronic parking brake, so I get what can you do about it. Got a very nice steering wheel right here. Looks pretty much like the rest of the steering wheels in Chevy's SUV lineup. It's really nice. Got your buttons here for adaptive cruise, for your radio and phone, and to control your screen. We'll talk a bit more about that here in a minute. You do have dual display screens up front, like in pretty much all the vehicles now. Here on the passenger side of the dash, you see get a little bit more piano black around those vents, some chrome accenting. It looks really nice. High Country badge right here, not a big one, little one right there. It's not overdone, but it still looks really nice. Come down here and look at our glove box. It's actually pretty decently sized. And looking more closely at the steering wheel here, I am a little bit disappointed in what they did with the steering wheel. They did give us a little bit of High Country right here on the bottom of the chrome and some piano black, and it looks nice. But I feel like they could have given us a little bit more, maybe some of that accented brown stitching around here. That would have been a nice touch. Like I said, you got controls for your adaptive cruise over here. And here's our thing for your heated steering wheel. That's going to change your display in front of you. And it's going to control some stuff. You got your phone and music right here. All your basic stuff that all your Chevys pretty much have. You do have paddle shifters to control that 10-speed automatic if you want to do that. And if we come around the back side of the steering wheel, much like in most of your Chevrolets, you do have below those paddles some buttons to control your multimedia, pretty much your radio in the car. Everything right there at the touch of your fingers. Looking at your stocks right here, you got your turn signal stock, which also includes all of your wiper controls front and rear. Kind of nice there. It's all integrated right there. And on this side, you have the new General Motors transmission shifter that's being used in pretty much all their vehicles now. They've relocated this back to the column, but it is electronic. They have ditched the buttons to the left side of the radio like in the outgoing version of the car. Let's take a look at the center stack now below the screens. We'll talk about those screens in a second. But you can see you do have some physical climate controls, much like in a few other Chevy models. You even got your temperature controls right here. Not every single thing is integrated into the screen, so that's very, very nice. Wireless cell phone charger right here. Interesting though that your cell phone sits sideways in this thing. That's interesting right there. I feel like they could design that so it's more easy to see your phone. But maybe that's a good thing. A little bit more rubberized storage right here with USB A and C ports, dual cup holders behind that. And then we come back to the center console, and this is a pretty nice console. It's a very typical console at first glance. You do have some cup holders on the back. Like I said, that console lid looks really nice. Open that up, you got a decent amount of storage right here, but if you notice, it's not as deep as most modern consoles. Let's go ahead and fire the car up. And let's look up here at these ceiling controls. We're gonna see this particular button right here. I'm going to push this back arrow, and you're going to watch as this console slides backwards to reveal even more storage underneath. So you got another storage area right here, or you also have a little pull-out drawer right there in the bottom of it. So you also have hidden storage in the console of the car. So that's really cool. Motorized console can be slid back for hidden storage, or to also give your rear passengers better access to those cup holders on the back of the center console. Pretty neat. Of course, when you're ready to put that back, just push that button the other direction, and you can see that console going to slide right back into place. Also, here in your center console, you get a little storage pocket on either side, one on both sides. You're not going to get a lot in there. Maybe you can stick your phone in there or papers or something, but just a little bit more storage, you know, if you need it or want it. Taking a look now at our 11-inch driver information or gauge cluster screen, and this is pretty much the same 11-inch screen you're going to get in a lot of other Chevy or GM models. So starting out here on this screen, you can see you got your big central tack with the speed in the center and a couple gauges off to the sides, and then on the either right or left, you got other information that you can have displayed. I have not found a way to configure that information, but it is there. Now you can use this button right next to the heated seat button on your steering wheel to change what you see in that display. So we hit that button, it's going to change over here to a more traditional type of gauge display where you got the gauges on each side and a center information display. Once again, I'm not seeing how it's going to give me many options of what to display in that center, but it is there, more traditional gauges. And you actually get a little bit more information right in front of you already than you got in the last one, where you get your oil pressure and your transmission temperature as well, whereas on that other screen you didn't have those two readouts. Hit that button again, you do get a full screen Google map. One of my favorite things Chevrolet has started doing with their gauge screens. Here in these past few years, they've not been doing that in their gauge screens, but they've started doing that now, and I love that they're doing it. They're catching up with everybody. Hit that button again, you got your driver assist screen. You can see right there is your following distance for your adaptive cruise. It kind of puts your gauges a little bit smaller over there on the left and puts that extra info on the right. Hit the button one more time, you get this nice calm screen. There's not a lot going on. You just got your speed, you got your fuel range, your odometer, and that kind of thing. If you don't want to be looking at a lot, or you don't want any kind of distractions in front of you while you're driving the car. Now, that's not the only way you get information on speed and such. You also have a really nice head-up display right here in the windshield. It's not highly configurable, but you can change the brightness and positioning, that kind of thing. So it's really nice and handy to have that information right there in front of you while you're driving the car. And then right here's your infotainment screen, another standard in a lot of Chevy models now. This 17.7-inch infotainment screen, which is really nice. You get Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, you get Alexa, all that wonderful stuff that you're getting in all these other models. Very nice, responsive screen. I mean, it is a really nice screen. Got your auto park assist right here. You can see you could exit a space that you're in or have the car park for you, especially if you're not good or don't like parallel parking or backing into spaces, especially with something this big. That can come in nice and handy. We swipe over here, you got this option for the entertainment hub. Click on that, and this is going to take you into your front controls for the two rear screens on the back of your front seats, which we will talk about later. But this is where you'd control those things up here in the front. Now you got this button right here that says controls, and you got this little quick button up here. Tap on that. It takes you into a few on-screen controls, such as, you know, your child rear door locks, camera, auto park assist, that kind of thing. Then there's a see more controls, which honestly, there was room on that first screen to not need a see more controls option, but whatever, it's there. Down here on the bottom, you can see they've integrated more climate controls. This is where the rest of your climate controls are going to be. Like I said, some of them are down here, the rest of them are up here. A lot of people do kind of put down automakers putting in the screen, and I'm not the biggest fan of it either, but the best thing is these are always displayed down here, so you don't actually have to dive into any menus. Now, if you want, you could pull your climate controls up even bigger in more details if you really want to, just the whole full screen experience. I don't know, maybe it's easier for you to see this, you know, you got bad eyes or something, who knows, but you do have that if you want it. Looking up here at the top of the screen, you see these little icons right here. Now these of course are quick access icons, but you can switch the position of those if you want to, or you can remove them if you want. Just kind of get rid of that, it goes away. Maybe you want your Play Store up here, you can move that up there. Maybe you want vehicle stats, we can put that up there. You can put whatever you want on that quick access menu, so no matter where you are in the system, these will always be up here for you to select. And talk about redundancy with these Chevrolet screens. Check this out. You have the extra controls up here, the quick access. You have it over here. And of course, you also have the bigger one over here. While we're talking about redundancy, I showed you this button over here for your 360 cameras right there. Hit that button and your camera system will pop up for you. Or you can tap right here and bring that camera system up. Or if you're in the controls section, you can tap right here and bring that camera system up. Many different roads to the same destination. But while we're in there, let's talk about this camera system, because it's actually a pretty good camera system. So you've got three different types of views you can use: your standard view, overhead, and side view. So we look at standard view, you see here you've got out the front, here you got looking straight out the rear. Let's go to overhead view. Now you're looking down at the nose of the car. Now you're looking down at, now overhead, you're looking down at the rear. This is going to be great for making sure you don't back over things or hitching up trailers. That'll be really nice. And of course, you also have side view. Now you're looking down the side of the car at the rear wheels. This, once again, it's a big vehicle. If you're worried about hitting curbs or pets or kids or whatever, You're gonna be able to look down the side and see that. You also have it for the front. And you're gonna have the same thing. You got a big wide vehicle. You can see the wheels turn as I turn the steering wheel. You got a big wide vehicle, you're in a tight space, you don't wanna hit things. And this camera system is in most of your Chevy models, and it is a really nice, handy system. The only physical control you get in this entire infotainment system is right here. This is your volume knob right here. And I love, as I turn it, you see you got the little animation of the volume level that wraps around it. That's really neat. Your power button is actually on top. It's just a touch sensitive button that's gonna kill your audio, that kind of thing. Pretty standard. Most of your Chevy models are getting this system. Let's go and jump in the second row now. And yes, second row, because your Tahoe, even though it's not as long as a Suburban, is still a 3-row full-size SUV. Check out the door card here. It looks exactly the same as the one up front. Same accents, same storage, same Bose system with the Bose badge, which is really nice. You get this nice High Country logo sill plate right here, which is pretty much a match to the fuller size sill plate you get up front that I didn't show you earlier, so whoops-a-daisy. As you can see, your seat design is the same. Now, you don't have the embroidery in the headrest. That's pretty common. Most manufacturers don't do that, but the rest of the seat looks just like the fronts. It looks really, really nice. You got some armrests right there. They are fully manually adjustable, but hey, I don't mind that. That's usually quicker than power. As you see on the back of your seats, you got a nice storage pocket, pretty standard. Back of your center console, you got rear climate controls with everything you're gonna need, including heated seats, love that, 2 USB-C ports and HDMI inputs, because your High Country has these entertainment screens for your second row passengers. These are really cool. To turn them on, very simple, just tap anywhere on the screen and it comes to life. You can see you've got Hulu, YouTube Kids, YouTube, web browser, HDMI inputs, and vehicle status. So if we click on vehicle status, you can actually see how fast the vehicle's going, how much gas is in it, and of course your trip odometers. I don't think the kids are gonna care about this, but maybe if you're an executive or someone being chauffeured around, then maybe you are gonna wanna see this. You can yell at your passenger to slow down. Go back home, easy as that. Get a few settings right here, not a lot. You get screen brightness, stuff like that. You're not gonna control a lot back here. There's not a lot to control. Click right here, you're gonna tell it how you want the sound to come out. You can use the cabin speakers, or you can connect these Bluetooth headphones that Chevrolet includes with this system. How cool is that? This box contains 2 Bluetooth headsets because there's 2 screens. Really, really cool. Love that. Close out of that. If you're ready for the screen to go away, just hit the power icon right here and it all goes dark. If you're ready for it to come back, just tap it anywhere and it comes right back to life. And as you can see, it never truly turns completely off because the settings menu is still up. It just pretty much darkens the screen so it's not distracting or it's not lighting up the cabin at night. But if you want it, just bring it right back. I love that. We'll also see below all these controls here, you also get a household style outlet right here, 110 volts, something like that. So nice thing in a family SUV, you can charge all variety of devices. Up ahead, you got a nice big panoramic sunroof, which as you can see, there's a reason why I'm not actually gonna open it, but big pano sunroof that comes almost all the way back over the entire second row. That's also really nice. Now I want to talk about the third row of this car, but first let's talk about getting into the third row. And Chevy made this nice and easy. So check this out. You got 2 levers here on the side of your second row seat. One is for sliding it back and forth, but one is for tilting it. So we're gonna pull it one time and it's gonna fold the back of that seat down. Pull it a second time and it's gonna flip that whole thing back up. And you see how easy that was? One-handed. I didn't need both hands for that. It's really nice if you're carrying something, a baby or something, or even groceries. Easy to flip that up, no problem. And then let's actually get into the vehicle. Watch the 6-foot-tall fat guy climb in here. Effortless access to the third row of this car. I can just pull the seat right down, pull it back up, and someone would have to slide it back, but with it in this forward position, I've actually got a decent amount of leg room. You could put it back a little ways and it'd be okay. Now you're wondering, how does this third row passenger get out if everybody else gets out and forgets the third row? Well, it's actually not that hard. Especially if you're a kid, you can just walk between the seats, or there's a strap right here on the back. Just pull it twice, and that whole thing flips up just like it did using that side lever. Just really, really nice. And climbing out of the Tahoe is just as easy. Looking at my legroom back here, you can see there's a good amount of legroom back here behind that seat being slid forward. Now, if I do slide to the left, behind the seat that's all the way back, you see it is a little bit more cramped. You're gonna want, if you're a tall adult, you're gonna want somebody to give you some space, but if you're a kid, no problem at all. It is a Tahoe after all. Take a good look around the back here. You got some cup holder and a storage tray right here. You do have a USB Type-C charging port right here, really nice. A little bit of padding, I've not seen that before. A little bit of padding for maybe your elbow or something here on the third row, really nice. And you pretty much get a mirror image, exact same amenities here on the passenger side as well. You get climate vents up here on the ceiling, so you can point them right at your face. You also get your own interior lights up here. So it's not a bad place to be. And as far as headroom in the back, I mean, 2 hands thickness, that's not bad. I mean, there's a good amount of headroom back here because this is a big square full-size vehicle. So it's not as tight as most 3-row SUVs, which I'm sure we've all come to expect at this point. It's a Tahoe after all. Oh, and once again on getting out, I showed you that strap right here, but if that is too manual for you, there's a button right here behind the rear door. Just press and hold it one time, and you're gonna release the seat down, press it again, and it's gonna flip it up for you so you can get out. So you don't have to use the manual release, but it is there in case that fails or whatever. All right, so we'll talk about accessing the rear cargo storage area in a second. But first, I want to talk about Chevy's AutoSense tailgate. So this is really cool, and it's showing up on more and more Chevy and GM SUV models. So right now I have the vehicle locked, but I have the key fob on me. So obviously you're not gonna have the key in your hand, it's gonna be in your pocket, you're gonna be carrying something. So in vehicle settings, you're gonna have a section called Comfort and Convenience. You're gonna go in there and you're gonna turn this feature on. And now we're gonna shove the key in the pocket, vehicle's locked, giant, heavy, invisible box. And I'm gonna walk up to the back of this thing. And I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna wait for 4 beeps. And then that tailgate is going to rise all on its own. So I don't have to do a thing. I can stick this giant heavy box in the back of this car. Whew, that was a lot. And close it back. I love that level of convenience. That's really, really cool. Now, while we're talking about convenient vehicle access, there's one thing I wanted to point out before we get into that cargo area. So here's your Chevy key. It's nothing special. It's your typical Chevy key, but it has some nice convenience features like the double press for your liftgate or the double press to just open your liftgate glass separately, which is something I really love in SUVs. If you just need to throw a couple bags in the back, that's really, really convenient. You do have to give it a little bit of force to close it, but that's fine. But the big thing I like is right here on your door handles. You can see Chevrolet put the lock unlock button on the front handles, which is pretty typical, although it is kind of behind the times because a lot of companies have a sensor on the back. But they also put the button on the rear doors. That is something everyone who uses these buttons should be doing. So I can just walk up, press the button and open the rear doors. I don't have to push that button, then come back here. Yes, those 2 steps take place very close together, but still, if you can add convenience to a vehicle at this price point in 2025, do it. I love that. That's a very smart decision on Chevrolet's part. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about this cargo storage area. Now, there's nothing insanely special about the storage area, but it's still worth talking about in your new Tahoe. So you got this nice flat load floor. If you need a bit more, lift up. You got some more storage down here with some accessories, some tools, maybe jack tools there. So a little bit of hidden storage. You don't have to worry about things rolling around. Close that down. You got a couple of tie downs right here. Now, over here on the left wall, there's not a lot to see, but on the right, you have a few things. You do have a household style wall outlet right there, which obviously a really nice thing to have in a big SUV. You also have these buttons right here, which are going to power fold your 3rd row. So let's go ahead and put that down. I might have to move that 2nd row seat up a little bit. And there you can see that's going to give you a nice bigger load floor. So what are the actual numbers as far as space you're going to get in the back of your 2025 Tahoe? Well, in this configuration right here with both 2nd and 3rd row in place, you're talking 26 cubic feet of cargo storage space. Throw down that 3rd row, and now you're looking at 73 cubic feet of cargo storage space. But now, release that 2nd row, fold it down, and that can either be done from the sides or with these 2 buttons right here labeled X2, which stands for they're going to drop the 2nd row. These are only power release, but if you push these buttons, now you've got 123 cubic feet of cargo storage space in this vehicle. Obviously, that's not a huge surprise. It's a Chevy Tahoe. It's a full-size SUV. And the only way you're going to get more storage space in this is to get the Suburban. Now, it is worth keeping in mind, like I said, those 2nd row seats are only power released. They are not fully power operated. So when you are done, you want to get those seats back, you do need to go up there and pull those forward yourself. Now, there's something in the interior of this car that I'm actually a little shocked about, and that is the surprisingly small amount of charging points in this vehicle. Now, that's not to say there's not a lot, because there is, but it seems like other vehicles have a bit more. So you have the 2 USB Type-Cs on the 3rd row, you have the 2 for the 2nd row, and then you have the single Type-C and single Type-A for the front row. You also have 2 household style 110 volt plugs, 110, 115, something like that. But that's it. There are no more USBs that I can find. And the lack of a 2nd USB-C up front is kind of flabbergasting for 2025. But also, I'm not seeing one single 12-volt round port like a cigarette lighter on this vehicle. Maybe I'm missing something. I'll go back through it and look again. And if I do find it, well, you won't see this clip. But I'm not seeing any kind of 12-volt rounds, which I understand most everything is USB and, you know, you already have the cable in to plug into the car, but still, it'd be nice to have the option, wouldn't it? And while I'm in the back, I had to put these packaged up floor mats back in here after I finished the cargo area section. And I was looking at these, and I'm actually quite disappointed. Now, they say Chevrolet on them, which is nice, and they're decent looking floor mats, but at this price, with this package, these really should say High Country. Just my opinion. All right, now I mentioned earlier in the video that this vehicle has the optional 4-corner air suspension that Chevrolet offers on the Tahoe. Now, this is available obviously on the High Country and also more importantly on your Z71 off-road, because you're going to want to raise it up to get the maximum ground clearance. So I'm going to run through this real quick just for you guys. Right now we are sitting on the maximum ground clearance level. There are 4 levels of lift on this thing. We are sitting at maximum right now. Now, in order to achieve maximum, you do need to have the vehicle in 4-wheel drive low to do that. But now I'm going to go here and I'm going to set it all the way down 3 levels to the lowest level, which is labeled entry exit, and watch how fast this thing drops to its absolute lowest level. There it goes. Now, it's not Ford GT fast, but it is quick enough. And there it is. We're all the way down to entry exit level. It's going to make it easier for people who have a hard time climbing into vehicles or kids to get in and out of this thing. Really neat and a great option on these vehicles. All right, y'all, let's talk about the engine choices that could power your 2025 Tahoe. And yes, we moved inside because apparently December is the rainy season here in East Tennessee. Anyway, let's pop a hood on this thing and talk engines. Now, for your 2025 Tahoe, you can choose one of 3 different engine options. Your first option is a 5.3 liter V8, 355 horsepower, 383 pound-feet of torque, maximum towing of right around 8,400 pounds, MPGs on that about 15 city, 20 highway. Obviously not great, but it's a big V8, who cares? Your next choice is what this one here has, the 6.2 liter V8, which is standard on this here High Country, but merely available on the other 5 trims. This engine produces 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque, except on the RST, the sporty model, where the power is bumped a little bit to 433 horsepower, 467 pound-feet of torque. Max tow on that is only 100 pounds less, 8,300 pounds. Fuel economy, 1 less on each figure, 14 city, 19 highway. And then the third option is your 3-liter inline-6 turbo diesel, which is available across all trims, but for the first time ever on your Z71 off-road trim. This engine produces 305 horsepower and 495 pound-feet of torque. Max tow on that is 100 pounds less, still 8,200 pounds. Fuel economy on that one, 21 city, 28 highway. Now, just like almost every one of your General Motors trucks and SUVs, the only transmission option you're getting is that 10-speed automatic transmission. Now, I'm sure, just like most people, you're sitting there wondering, okay, this thing is really nice. It's pretty cool. It's got a lot of great features, but let's just get down to it. How much is this going to cost me? Well, I'm going to tell you. So your 2025 Chevy Tahoe is available in 6 different trims. Your 6 trims are LS, LT, RST, which is the sporty trim, Z71, which is your off-road trim, Premier, which is 1 less than this, and of course this beast, the High Country, the top of the line, most luxurious version. Pricing for your 2025 Tahoe ranges from a starting price for your 2-wheel drive LS trim of $60,495 all the way up to a starting price for your 4-wheel drive High Country of $83,195. That's right, this High Country starts at $83,000. And in case you're curious, our tester here today is priced at over $89,000, almost $90,000 for this Chevy Tahoe High Country. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of car, but that's a lot of money. All right, so I think that's just about gonna do it for the tour of your 2025 Chevy Tahoe High Country. Now let's get this thing out on the road in the rain and drive it. All right, we're gonna get this thing out on the road and drive it. It's almost 5:30 in December in East Tennessee, so it is getting dark and it's raining, although it's raining a lot less right now. Anyway, before we talk about the drive, I want to talk about a couple things that I missed in the talking points of the video. First thing being your drive modes. Now you have a dial right here next to your headlight control that controls your drive modes, and there's a button inside that dial that switches that to where it controls your ride height, just so you know. But this High Country has 4 different drive modes in it. You have normal mode just for normal driving. That's obviously what that means. Turn that dial, you go into sport mode and check out how it changes the little graphics. Obviously, it's going to give you better throttle response, stuff like that, for a bit more spirited driving or whatever. Turn again, you're going to go into off-road mode. I don't know who's going to be off-roading their High Country, or even their Z71 for that matter, but you do have it if you need it. And the last one is for your tow haul, because this thing is capable of hauling over 8,000 pounds. But so that's that. I also wanted to talk about Super Cruise. So for those who for some reason don't know, Super Cruise is General Motors' quote-unquote self-driving system. It's a very good system. It'll steer you within lanes on mapped highways in GM's database. It'll make automatic lane changes when it deems it safe, and it incorporates adaptive cruise control. It's a nice system. I've used it on the new Traverse. I like it. That being said, you know, more and more roads do need to be mapped for it to be the best thing that it can be. Now, Super Cruise is available on all of your Tahoe trims except for the Z71 off-road trim. Unfortunately, it is not optioned on this here High Country. Honestly, I think Super Cruise should not be an option. It should be absolutely standard. This vehicle is $90,000. Super Cruise should be standard in my opinion. But those are those points. Let's talk about driving this thing. As you would expect from a Chevy Tahoe, this thing is sweet to drive. If you don't mind large vehicles, this thing is great. You actually do have great visibility all the way around. It's really nice. Side windows out the front. That C-pillar is kind of big. It does cause a little bit of a blind spot, but you do have a big window behind that. And of course, you also have this surround view camera system here if you need it for whatever reason. Another visibility point that I pointed out while looking at the rear gate, but not on the interior view, is this right here. This is your rear view mirror camera screen. It can be a standard rear view mirror, but you absolutely want this thing to be a screen. This is a 3-row SUV. You end up with this thing loaded down with people or with stuff or both. That's obviously going to compromise your rear visibility out the window. Not with this right here. This is a beautiful thing. General Motors was one of the first companies to do this, and a lot of other companies are starting to catch up, and I'm really happy about that because this is actually very smart. As far as modern technology goes, this is a very smart thing to have. Now, as far as the ride itself, I already like driving full-size SUVs. I love the way they ride. I love the way they drive. And this with the air suspension just takes that to another level. This thing is actually pretty comfortable, I gotta say. I'm gonna find a rougher patch here in a minute, and I'll mention that here in a little bit. But this thing is actually pretty comfortable, I will not lie. And of course, you've got heated and ventilated seats in this thing, these leather seats. This is a nice place to spend time. And this is a vehicle I would absolutely love to drive across country. Obviously, it's not a handling machine. It's not meant to be. It's a tall SUV. But for a tall SUV, it does seem to actually handle pretty well. Now, I'm not going to, you know, put it through all the paces because it is wet outside, and I don't really want to, you know, wreck a $90,000 vehicle. Let's slow down here. The four-wheel drive system on this thing is in auto, so I don't have to worry about the wet road. But we're about 20 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and see what kind of power we got on this thing. Oh yeah, oh yeah, that 6.2 is plenty powerful enough. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, I read the Car and Driver article on this thing, and they tested the 0 to 60 in the mid to high 6-second range. That's all well and good, but really, who cares? You've got a big V8 engine under the hood. It has plenty of power to enter on the interstate, merge into traffic, pass slow people, you know, accelerate out of a possible dangerous situation if that's such a thing that may arise. And of course, it has the towing capability as well. I mean, 8,000 pounds isn't the most in the world, but you know, for a full-size family SUV, it's pretty decent. Turning radius is actually okay for something this big too. That was not at all disappointing. I'm going to take it down here. There's a rougher patch in this road. Now, I say the air suspension makes it better. It's not like it's soaking up every single bump. And some of those rougher ones you are going to feel. You absolutely are going to feel them. It's not a Rolls Royce. This is not a true high-end luxury vehicle, but it's not jarring. What I just went over didn't hurt, if you know what I'm saying. And as always with Tahoes and Suburbans and Yukons, I love this high seating position. You're sitting up high, you can see everything. you've got this almost king of the road feel, and trust me, there's plenty of people that drive these things that act like that too, in my personal experience. You feel like you can go just about anywhere in a car like this. I mean, when I say I love driving full-size SUVs, I really do. You know, the first time I drove one of these was actually a early 2000s Yukon XL. I think it was late 90s. It was right before the Cat Eye Silverado came out. So late 90s, getting into 2000. And I loved it. Oh my God. And I've driven the previous iteration of this 5th generation. I tested that on the channel. I did a Z71 and I loved that. And same here. I'm telling you, I love full-size SUVs. And I think a lot of people do, because they offer a lot of space, they offer a lot of comfort. And you know, as we get more and more into the modern age, they offer a lot more amenities and a lot more features. This thing has a lot of neat features in it. Some of them are a little bit gimmicky, like the sliding center console. That's, you know, whatever. Some people may not care about that. Hopefully it's not something that's going to break with time, but you know, it is kind of cool. It's not something that everyone else is putting in their cars at this point. So that is kind of cool. Yeah, I love this thing. I love the high country. And I've always said, if I'm gonna get a Suburban or something, I want it to be a high country. These screens are nice, they're easy to read, they're nice and vivid, they're perfectly within reach. I love the screens. And Chevy really did a good job with this system, I think. I mean, look, it's fast, it's responsive, it's very, very nice. Let's go into maps here and see how fast that map loads up. I mean, less than 5 seconds, it's beautiful. And it's a nice, vivid map too. I mean, it's a really good map. I love this. And you get what you should expect. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, you can just connect your phone right up to it. Absolutely what people should expect and what you should get at a price point like this. I do still wish there were a few more charging ports in this thing. I know there's already a lot, and it's a very American thing to say, although I think it's a very 2025 thing to say. There needs to be, at the very least, one more Type-C port up here. Most of your phones have Type-C cables, and a lot of them are C to C. There should be at least one more up here. And if by some chance someone from General Motors watches my video, I do have another suggestion for you. Consider dual wireless charging. Yes, most vehicles already have the capability to charge a single device wirelessly, but I've driven a Tesla that had a dual wireless, and I've driven a new Hyundai Santa Fe, which has the availability of a dual wireless charger. So that's something I also believe should be engineered into vehicles in the near future across all brands, is the ability for both your front passengers to charge wirelessly. That's my opinion. Others may differ, and y'all are welcome to it. Anyways, y'all, I guess that's gonna do it for the full review of the new 2025 Chevy Tahoe High Country. Like I keep saying, I've said it a million times, and I know a car review should be more comprehensive and more factual and less opinionated, but in my opinion, Tahoes are amazing. I love these things. And I think Chevy really did a good job with this. And the other thing that Chevy did that I'm very happy about is they still have not started following the crowd of let's get rid of the V8 in our large vehicles. They're still offering 2 different V8 options, and that is just a beautiful thing in my opinion. Anyways, folks, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed making it. And trust me, whenever I get to review a car like this, I definitely enjoy making it. If you did enjoy this video, you want to see what else I have on the channel, please do go back to the channel and check out the rest of the reviews on my page. I got a lot of great reviews on there and more coming eventually. I cannot give you all a timeline. I have no consistency in posting, but that's life. But do consider subscribing to the channel if you like what you see. Also follow over on Facebook and Instagram at That Car Vlog channel. There are 2 other great ways to get notified when new videos go up. And Instagram is probably going to become my new place to put short form videos like on TikTok, should TikTok be banned in January 2025. So definitely consider following me over there for that reason. I'm going to be starting to switch a lot of my short form content over there just in case. If you aren't following me on TikTok, please still follow me there. The name is That Car Vlog channel. Who knows, they may not ban the app, but if they do, follow on Instagram. Once again, huge special thanks to the folks at West Chevrolet of Alcoa, Tennessee for allowing me to use this brand new 2025 Tahoe High Country for today's review. Once you're done watching, do go down to the description. You'll find a link to their website to check out their awesome inventory. These people are absolutely amazing people to deal with, and amazing for letting me do this with their vehicles. Anyways, y'all, thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one.